In today's video, we're talking deloads. Welcome to the video, guys. My name is Tyler, also known as the Fit Chemist, and I help people take control of their lives by taking control of their fitness and nutrition habits so that ultimately we can lead healthier and happier lives. So if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing. Turn those notification bells on so you don't miss when I post a new video. And if you are returning, welcome back. I am so glad that you are here. So far in this series, we have talked about progressive overload and the three important variables: volume, intensity, and frequency. And then in the last episode, we talked about periodization and progression and how we actually go about programming and writing the program for ourselves or for clients. In this video, we're going to talk about deloads because that sort of covers fatigue management and also what to do when your training stalls or plateaus. So what is a deload? A deload is a reduction in volume and intensity to help dissipate fatigue, but while also maintaining the gains that we just made in the last mesocycle. A general recommendation would be to drop volume to 2/3 or 3/4 of what it typically is, so a 25 to 33% reduction, and oftentimes what that comes out to be is about dropping one set. So let's say you're doing 4 sets of deadlifts, you could go to 3 sets of deadlifts, and then if you're doing 3 sets of bench, you could just go to 2 sets of bench. But essentially, we just want to reduce some of that volume, give our muscles some time to recover, so that way when we get back in the gym the next week, hopefully we can start progressing again. I think it's a good recommendation to also reduce intensity a little bit unless you're a strength athlete, which I'll talk about in a second. But for most people going into the gym, I'd say drop intensity by the same recommendations. So you want to drop that to 2/3 to 3/4 of what it normally is, or a 25 to 33% reduction in intensity as well. So if you are a strength athlete and you're looking to keep those strength gains from the previous training block, then what I would say is keep intensity at the same level that it was before during your training, but then drop volume more. So remember, if we're just going to do a normal deload, we'd go to 2/3 to 3/4. But what I would say, if you're going to keep intensity the same, I'd say drop volume to maybe half of what it typically is, because again, the goal is to dissipate fatigue. Let's talk about when to take a deload. So it depends. If you're trying to dissipate fatigue and you're feeling fatigued in the gym, I'd say that would be a good time to do so. So a lot of people can sort of auto-regulate and just tell from their training, like, okay, my body's feeling run down, maybe it's time to catch up on some sleep and actually recover again. But let's say you feel fine, you're not that fatigued, you're doing okay in the gym, but your numbers have stalled out and you want to implement a deload in order to reinstate progress. If you're going to go that route, I would say there are a couple of questions to consider before actually taking a deload. The first question is going to be, are you getting enough sleep? Then are you eating enough calories? And along with that, are you getting enough protein? After that, you need to consider, are you accurately assessing RPE? So are you saying that you're doing an RPE 7, but really it's an RPE 9 and you're doing more intense workouts than you really think you are? And then also, is your technique on point? So do you need to fix your form? So maybe your squat is a little bit off and you're actually overcompensating in another area, and that's why you're getting some of that fatigue. If you answered no to any of those questions, I think it would be better to focus on addressing that issue and then seeing if that reinstates progress. Or if you answered yes to all of those questions, then it might be time to take a deload, even if you're not feeling that fatigue. If you're still unsure whether or not it's time to take a deload, then I will throw up a post-training block assessment little questionnaire from Helms, so you can take a look at this chart right now, and then hopefully that will help you guys understand whether or not it's time to actually implement a deload. Up until this point, we've made it seem like there's only 2 times to take deloads. One would be when you're so fatigued that you recognize it might be time to take a deload, and then 2, if you're stalling out with your progress in the gym. But I personally believe that every sound training program should incorporate deloads from the beginning. You should have pre-planned deloads. So I'd say putting in one every 6 to 8 weeks is probably a good rule of thumb. Just like with periodization and progression, there's not really a right or wrong way to do this. I would say it's definitely important to incorporate deloads because we do want to dissipate that fatigue, but there are definitely some individuals who might be able to get away with training for 10 weeks and then taking a deload. There's some that might need a deload every 5th week. Like, it just sort of depends depends. It's highly individual. So what I would say is if you're a newbie, program a deload, have it once every 6 to 8 weeks. But if you're someone who's more intermediate to advanced and you can sort of feel that fatigue on your body and you know what that starts to feel like, then you can sort of take one whenever you feel it's necessary. Another recommendation I have is that I try to take holidays into consideration. So, something like Thanksgiving or Christmas or 4th of July, like I try to plan deloads around those holidays because I know people will often be traveling. They're going to be eating more food. They're not really going to be as focused on training. So what I would say is if you're writing a program for a client, try to take that into account. So maybe 4th of July is the 6th or 7th week of their program. Throw in a deload so that way they could go into the gym at the beginning of the week, and then the later half of the week they can enjoy the holiday with their friends and families, and then after that just get right back on track. So again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. I just wanted you to be aware of deloads because I think they're super important and that they don't get talked about enough. We've now talked about progressive overload, periodization and progression, and now deloads. So in the next episode, we're going to be talking about the fun stuff. What exercises are we going to incorporate into our training plan? All right, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you are new here, be sure to subscribe. Turn those notification bells on so you don't miss when I post new videos, because I post new videos every single Friday. You do not want to miss when I go live. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.